Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the visuals and the optics and the costs and the extent to which diversity hiring and DEI hiring and quota hiring, affirmative action hiring, the extent to which it's being forced on us, like mass migration, forced on us without our consent, without any merit, without any economic benefit. It's just being forced on us, and that's how it is. And it's costing us all through higher taxes we need to pay and higher product prices, whether that be for services or whether it be for, I don't know, stuff at the grocery store, electricity. It's something we're paying for heavily, all in the name of this ideological utopia that's being pursued. Now, whether they're actually pursuing a utopia or just trying to subjugate indirectly and back with a backhanded effort, subjugate the white population, we can debate that. But I just wanted to go through some things. I attended a trade delegation and a trade fair that was attached to it recently, and I got to see up close the effects of and the outcomes of diversity hiring. So let's have a little look at that. Just one thing. One of the organisations that was there, I did business with these guys probably 15 years ago, and it was a straight white male gig from top to bottom. There are a few women in junior roles there, but it was a straight white male gig, and these guys at the time had to compete for a lot of the business that they got, so they needed pretty sharp operators to do that. Since then, they've been given what in effect is a government protected monopoly. That's pretty much what they've got at the moment. And along with that government protection comes demands that you will have a lot of diversity hires. Now remember, this is a company that 15 or so years ago everybody was called John or Bob or Jack or David or Bill or Harry or so, that sort of thing. So now I'm just going to go through this is the upper middle management ranks here. Kolapo, Karim, Kadia, Moshin, Yusuf, Muhammad, quite a few Muhammads, Shapar, Lahar, Rajit, Jazeel, Ayub, Horio, Jahan, Marwan, Ahmed, quite a few Ahmeds here, Ali Reza, Kasim, Guru, Uni, and so on. I think you get the idea. Now, in the middle or upper middle ranks of management, straight white males would be 10 to 15%, maybe. I'd say even a little bit less than that, but in that general range. White women would be 20%, and 65% are all brown people. Again, quite a few. But let's sort of have a look. Are these people somehow winning their jobs? I mean, are they just having a look at I'm on a business website here, and these people are coming straight from overseas with in overseas qualifications and walking straight into jobs that local people could easily have filled. So clearly they're so this I'm just looking at one here now. The guy got where has he got here? Okay, he's got a degree from Pakistan. Okay, so he arrives and in Australia, and it seems he's got a job pretty much straight away. He walks into quite a senior engineering role, and you've got to wonder how that's possible. Now, 6 years later, he's now got an upper middle management job. I don't know, how is that? Now, you could pretty much look at any one of these people and you'd get the same thing. They're coming from overseas, getting employed straight into effectively a government job. They're all brown and black and so on, and from third world countries, and they're not having to go through a competitive hiring process because they never have a chance of getting it. So they're filling quotas for brown and black people and people that don't speak a whole lot of English and so on. Now, the university in Pakistan isn't like it's the top tier university anyway. So they're taking somebody from second or third tier university in a dirt poor third world shithole country, basket case country. They walk straight off the plane and into a well-paid, prestigious job in a white country. But this is pretty much the pattern all around. Now, so I was at this trade show. Now, that was part of a meeting the trade delegations. Now, the trade delegations, even in the first world countries, they're not sending their best, far from it. Even first world trade. So I'm going to talk to these people in the trade delegation. A lot of women there, but the women don't know anything. They're there just for diversity window dressing. So you start asking just basic questions about things, and they constantly refer you to only the men seem to know what's going on, even the youngish men who are being bossed about by these girl boss chicks who know nothing. The chicks are there for window dressing. They don't see it as a problem that they don't know anything. They don't see it as a problem that and they've also got a very entitled, don't give a shit attitude. Including, by the way, some interesting hair colors and tattoos and piercing. So they're obviously diversity hires. They're not, they're not people that are there. They don't know what they're doing. They're not qualified to be there. Is the point? Now, just to illustrate the cost of having people who don't know what they're doing, either things aren't done well, they're not done well enough, or they have to be redone frequently if people don't know what they're doing. To give you an example, a property I bought quite some years ago, the plumber or the guy to do like the stormwater runoff type plumbing, he was constantly coming saying that he had another job and no, I can't do it yet. So I got jack of that and decided to do it myself. Now, I'd never done it before. So I bought the stuff that I thought I measured it all out and quantified and did it. And I made some mistakes. So the angle of runoff, the degrees of incline. I made some mistakes in those areas, and particularly with, say, doing the retaining wall sort of to hold the other stuff. So I had to redo a lot of it, and it ended up costing me more than if I paid that guy who knew what he was doing. I paid that guy to do it. Now this is the price, and it took me several far longer than it would have taken him. He could have knocked it over in a weekend. I took 12 weekends to do it. So the idea is that if you know what you're doing, you'll be far more efficient, and that's a statement of the obvious. But when you put diversity hires in, and they're not hired on merit, they're not hired because they know what they're doing. They're not hired because they've got the credentials. They're only hired because they fill the diversity boxes. Then you're in a situation where things take a lot longer, or they don't get done, or they get done to much lower standards, or they have to be redone possibly multiple times. So the overall cost of that is high, and it's passed on to the consumer in prices you pay. Now, let me just go through the people here at the trade fair. Now, the general manager of one organisation. Now, bear in mind that these companies are all now, the government has mandated that certain things have to be in place, and almost the day they did that, it was like you pushed a button. Those companies, many of which had some pretty sharp guys working there, the minute that the government that mandated this I don't know, you'd probably call it an insurance legal structure, had to be in place. and then if you don't, in order to get the contract, you have to have a lot of diversity hires. So it's government imposed and government forced. But then the company or the business doesn't have to compete anymore. They're effectively allocated a certain amount of government taxpayer money, and in return, the government wants affirmative action, diversity hiring. So the general manager of one of these companies, just wait for this. I'm just going to go through. General manager of one of these companies is about 4'6" tall. She's midget and has pretty serious lower back and knee, leg, mobility issues, knee and leg problems. Pleasant enough, and she was trying her hardest, but apart from the physical handicap, she isn't very bright, and she just has this permanent smile etched on her face, and that sort of seems to be the substitute for any sort of meaningful understanding or work. And a couple of other, she introduced me to a couple of other people there, and again, both women and a brown guy, and you wouldn't employ any of them. One of the girls looked like she's off her face, for goodness sakes. So that's one example. Another one was another business where they employed a Chinese guy who I think's gay, but a Chinese guy. He's got, again, he's got a glass eye and quite a pronounced stoop, suggesting, again, some health issues. And he's got the most bow legs I think I've ever seen in my life. And he sort of shuffles around there, and he's the executive vice president of sales. I mean, and he's still got quite a heavy Chinese accent. So why would you employ somebody? I mean, how would somebody like even get an interview? If someone sends in, he's clearly not qualified. You can tell that by talking to him. How would you even go about it? How would someone like that even end up in the interview process, let alone get hired? Now, so this guy comes, just picture this. You're the hiring manager. This guy walks in. He's got a pronounced Chinese accent. His English is, good enough, I suppose, but he's got a pronounced Chinese accent. He's got the strange sort of stoop as he walks. Again, these bow legs, which cause him to walk, as if he's struggling to walk. And then he's got a glass eye, and and this is the guy you hire as your executive vice president of sales. And I could go on here, but this is pretty much the standard. There was an Indian lady and another who was allegedly the CEO, and her English was pretty ordinary. But she had this Indian thing. So I was talking to one of the people who didn't know anything. She then came forward. I'm the important person here. You talk to me. And when I asked her just a simple question, instead of just answering it, her response was, "Okay, I'm on trial here. I'm being tested, and I'll show that white guy I know how." And so she wasn't very tall, but she sort of stood, raised her head, poked her nose in the air, and then spoke as if she was talking to 3-year-old kindergarten children at that tone, and sort of manufactured this strange, imperious, demigod manner when she was talking about fuck. So I'm going around to the other stands here. Not one person you'd regard as impressive. There was one that was a government department or a quanga, and it was all women and a few gay guys. That was it. Half the women were brown. So again, diversity was the only issue they concerned about. And I did have a number of questions. Nobody could answer or attempt to answer a question. So a basic question. I can't answer that because I'm in the department that does this. So what you have to do is, is there anyone here who can, it's a trade fair. Is anyone here? Then there was the big meetings and discussion. Who would get, and then who wants to know that? They point at me, standing over. Fuck. So these are the quality of people. Again, no one could answer the question. No one could say who could answer it or what person or department could address the question. I did sort of clarify and say, this is a rather basic question. Yes, they agreed it was a basic question, but they just couldn't answer it. Thanks, Billy Bob. Bye. So these are the sort of things that you're seeing, not just in one or two industry segments or areas, but all over the place. And again, the cost is huge. Now you can't imagine a 4'6" midget comes into your office again with serious mobility issues, and you hire her as the general manager of the company. Would anybody do that? But talking to some other people, you get extra diversity points, not just for having black or brown people or women or anything like that, but you get diversity points if the people have handicaps. So if you get a woman with who's paraplegic or a quadriplegic, you get extra diversity points. So that this sort of puts you in a higher standing with getting taxpayer money through getting government business, because you can say, well, we've got our average diversity score is 100, so you have to give us more money, and so the more inefficient you are, and the more incapable and incompetent the people you hire, the more you're able to access taxpayer funded business and put your snouts further in the trough. But of course, we're all paying for that. This is not something that's decided on any form of merit. Far from it. And there's another guy. A guy was there, and he was supposed to be the sales manager, and he's a guy. He was actually doing a drug deal with one of the chicks on the stand. I was close enough to hear what was going on. They were actually doing a drug deal, and he's got it on the car outside. So if she goes with him, she can get this. Oh, fuck. I mean, would you employ somebody like that? And again, he was he appeared to be somewhat physically handicapped and not very bright, obviously of limited IQ. But then someone's hired him as a sales manager. The list goes on here, and I could go on. But the point I'm illustrating here is this is the cost we're paying for diversity. Diversity gives us nothing. It gives us nothing, but costs us a great deal. You've been with Tacitus today, your pushback channel. Thank you for listening.